let's talk about some positions and some where we're interested in, battles and whatnot. Then let's stay on the defensive side of the football. Justin just brought it up about, what they were able to do with Martell Irby. I think you've got some questions at that linebacker spot, obviously next to Jacob Manu. You've got a plethora of really good safeties on this roster. Would you guys like to see Genesis Smith kind of in that role from time to time next to Jacob Manu? Because I would.
Yeah, in Genesis, I actually ran several simulations on EA Sports College Football 25, and the video game loves Genesis Smith leading the Arizona in tackles. So Genesis Smith is expected to have a big-time season this year, and I would love to see Treydon Stukes move to the second cornerback spot, and then you put Genesis at that nickelback, or they're calling it star now.
Right.
Because, one thing about Dwayne Aquina is there are no labels for the defensive backs. Yes, we look at Gunnar Maldonado and Dalton Johnson as the safeties. Jacario Davis, he's the cornerback. But when you come to Arizona, you're going to be training as a defensive back. Everyone can move around anywhere. And Arizona, they're going to do their best to put the 5 best players in that defensive secondary. And I think that combination with Genesis Smith and Treydon Stukes, you got to have that in your secondary. And I think that will be Arizona's defensive backs at some point this season.
I think you may see a lot of that nickel, dime, quarter dollar package, because the Big 12, from what I've been watching the last few years, is a pretty wide open league. I mean, you don't see a lot of 2 tight end ground and pound sets in that league. So you're going to need that extra defensive back that can go in the box, make a tackle when they need to, and also play pass coverage. So I think it plays perfectly in the hands of Arizona against the competition they're going to have in the conference. And, from the other linebacker perspective, I think this is the year for Justin Flo to put him in a position to succeed. And for me, I think, Justin Flo, with his ability, you simplify it as much as possible. Put him in situations where he's blitzing from the middle. Maybe put him on the edge once in a while, rushing the quarterback. See ball, get ball. Right. You make it that clean for Justin Flo. I think you're going to see a lot more production out of him.
And I do believe that with Dwayne Aquina, if they can make it work with Justin Flo, he's going to make it work. Because like Justin said, there's not, even with the DBs, there's not really a set position. He's going to try to get football players on the field. Now, let's talk a little bit about the defensive line. That was one of the strengths of Arizona last year, is that you had an assembly line of players that, you could bring in, you could bring in a Sione, you could bring in a Tyler Manoa, you could bring in a Kagaika, a Tia Savea, et cetera, et cetera. Gone were the days where it looked like Justin Spears and myself were lining up next to Parker Zellers. Right. But I like the starting. I like the defensive tackle depth. I do like with Chuba. Obviously, we lost BBN, Big Bill Norton, which is, I think, a culture loss as well. But I think it will be fine. Isaiah Johnson, and I love Kevon Darton, who we're going to get in. I think Kevon Darton's going to start eventually. All ACC performer, 5 sacks. I'm pretty good with the depth. I do worry a little bit about the depth on the edges, though. I like Trey Smith. I like Ty. I'm a little concerned about the depth on the edges. What say you guys?
Yeah, I think that defensive end will be something to monitor, especially in training camp, because, the Wildcats are losing Isaiah Ward, Russell Deuce Davis are now at Washington, and then Taylor Upshaw. Taylor came in from Michigan/Colorado.
Right.
And, he was productive at Michigan. And, he comes into Arizona, leads the team in sacks, had the most sacks by a Wildcat since, I think, Kylan Wilborn in 2017. So it had been a while since Arizona was able to get to the quarterback, and Taylor Upshaw was good in that department. But I think that they got a really good one in Trey Smith, who is a guy who was underrated coming out of, I think, Red Mountain High School up in Phoenix, went to San Jose State, played for a couple of seasons, has, a couple years of weightlifting under his belt, and he's only getting bigger. He's very athletic off the edge and was an all Mountain West performer last year. And then I really love the addition of Kevon Darton, who I think is going to be more of like a 3 technique, but he's athletic enough to where you could put him on the outside. And Taitai Uiagalelei is kind of the same way. So they have a few defensive linemen that they can move all around. And I think that this D line, even though they're losing 9 scholarship guys from a year ago, I think that this unit could surprise a lot of people, because like last year, Arizona went out into the transfer portal and they coupled the guys from the portal with the developing guys who have been playing for the last couple of years. And you're starting to see that now. You got guys coming in from the portal, and then you have some players that didn't get a lot of publicity or didn't get a lot of playing time, like Isaiah Johnson. We haven't really seen him get a lot of action, but he played some meaningful snaps in the middle of the season last year, and the coaches are raving about this guy. And one thing I will tell Arizona fans, people are going to look at the stats. They're going to look at the numbers. They're going to be like, really? These guys are going to come in and impact? Bill Norton didn't do squat at Georgia, and he came in and was arguably Arizona's best defensive lineman. So don't rag on these guys because they don't have the numbers to go along with your optimism. I think Arizona's defensive line is going to be just fine this year.
Yeah, as much as I think it's not talked about enough that one of the strengths of this team is the offensive line, I think the defensive line is the biggest question. And, we just haven't seen a lot of these guys play. I mean, the names are there and there's some guys with some accolades coming in, but we just haven't seen it. So it's going to be interesting. And this is where I'm kind of going with Justin Flo on passing downs. Why not line up Flo on the outside and just be like, go rush the quarterback, get there somehow.
Micah Parsons
type. So to me, linebacker I'm okay with. Defensive backfield really strong. Defensive line is what I'm really curious of asking Justin about and you about, Mike, when you guys go to camp and watch and then during games, like where's our defensive line going to be? Because if that's a strong unit, then defensively for Arizona to be where we all want them to be at the end of the year, Arizona just needs to be somewhere in the middle to top middle of defenses in the Big 12 because the offense, barring attrition, is going to carry it.
Yeah. All right. And I will say this, Mike, one thing that I paid attention to in the spring that will be a little bit different with this year's Arizona team is the amount of blitzing from both the linebackers and defensive backs.
Awesome.
I saw a lot of Dalton Johnson, a lot of Traydon Stukes coming off the edge, getting to the quarterback, making plays behind the line of scrimmage. And Jacob Manu's got a knack for getting to the quarterback and the football. He's got a way where he can get skinny and get between the offensive linemen and break free and make plays behind the line of scrimmage. And Danny Gonzalez, he is a guy who's going to deploy his linebackers and he's going to blitz a lot, which is good news for a guy like Justin Flo.
It's funny, guys. People just don't know what they're talking about. I remember when we recruited Jacob Manu, who's like a little shorter in stature,
sawed off,
but he sawed off a lot of tackles at Servite. And it's like, well, we're recruiting him because we want to get Noah Fifita and T-Mac and the rest of the guys at Servite. The guy's a good football player, man. Just makes plays, and he made them from the moment he stepped on this campus. Jacob Manu is like one of those linebackers that's going to be in the pantheon of the Antonio Pierces, Lance Briggs, Sean Harris. I'm sure I'm missing guys, but we're going to remember
Marcus
Jacob
Bell,
one of the best linebackers in Arizona. Yeah, one of the best linebackers in Arizona football history.
All right, now here's my Del Taco special, a little bit under the radar player that, and by the way, Del Taco has been named the best fast food restaurant going now, taking over Chick-fil-A. We take credit on this show, by the way. We take credit. Okay. Kenny Dillingham, I don't know if you guys saw the video. I brought Kenny Dillingham a Del Taco cheeseburger. He very much liked it.
So tell me real quick, Mike, I've never had it, so I'm going to do it because you've really been promoting it. This double bacon cheeseburger at Del Taco, legit, huh?
The double Del. It's amazing. It's really, really good. Many people are, I was going to say, I say it's got about an 85 to 90% hit rate. And again, it's not filet mignon, I get it, but it's very, very good. But here's my Del Taco special, though. Malachi Riley is going to be the breakout player on the whole team. Malachi Riley is, I'm saying right now, I'm putting down the gauntlet. I'm saying that Malachi Riley is going to emerge as a really, really good number 2. And he's going to be somebody that at this time next year, we're talking about him as the number 1 receiver on the team. I love Malachi Riley. I am a huge Malachi Riley fan. Am I being stupid?
No, not at all, man. I think that he is the guy who is going to step in and be Arizona's 3rd wide receiver behind T-Mac and Montana Lamonia's Craig. And, it would not surprise me if when it's all said and done, he has more yards than MLC. Malachi was a highly rated prospect, or I wouldn't say highly rated, but if you look at his offers, some very impressive schools were going after Malachi Riley, and Arizona was able to get him to come to Tucson. And I think, stepping in that Jacob Cowing spot at slot receiver, I think that, Malachi could be in for a breakout year. And, the coaches were super high on him in the spring. Bobby Wade loves him. Same with Brent Brennan. And, Brent Brennan, he's got a history of coaching some really great wide receivers. So I think Malachi Riley will be in for a breakout year. But my Del Taco underrated player for Arizona this year is a guy who we call Das Gronk. Roberto Miranda, the tight end from Germany, who's going into his 5th season. You got a great story. He came to Arizona out of Germany, played football late in high school in Berlin.
Sumlin recruit, right?
Sumlin recruit. Yeah,
Yes.
he came. His first year was the 2020 season, which was Sumlin's last year. So he was recruited to Tucson out of Germany as a Sumlin recruit, and has just kind of been just there along for the ride, being a part of special teams. Was used primarily as a run blocking tight end last year. So anytime you saw number 85 in the game, you almost knew that Arizona was going to run the football. But this year in the spring, he has done such a great job of being a pass catching tight end. I'm not going to say he's the next Antonio Gates because he wears number 85, but expect a lot more receiving production out of Roberto Miranda. And I think he's probably Arizona's best blocker that's not an offensive lineman. So I'm really high on Roberto Miranda to have a breakout year.
This might not be unheralded, but my double Dell player to watch this year is, I think the games are won in March and April in the weight room and in training, and that those win games in fall. And the work that Speedy Lucas put in the offseason, and I think how underused he was last year with the Wildcat team, finding different ways to get on the ball, special teams in the slot, swing passes, what have you. Every time Speedy Luke touches the ball, a big play is waiting to happen. So I want to see a lot more Speedy Luke. I think we're going to see a lot more Speedy Luke this year, and I think he's going to do big things.
Let me ask you guys this. I think we got to address the elephant in the room here that we haven't talked about. Circle K. Listen, here's the deal.
You're making a weight joke about Justin, and I'm like, that's not cool, Mike. That's not cool.
We would not. Now, listen here. We got to talk about Circle K. Anyway, as long as Justin is making Justin time, we are good with that. Are you making Justin time, by the way?
Try my best.
All right. That's all we care about. But with Circle K, my friends, Ollie Farhang is part of the inner circle. This is true, Ollie Farhang.
It's true. I've got the app, and I was out of the country. I saw the big storm, what it did to one of the facades at Circle K.
Awful.
I think flags went half-mast all across the country.
So here's the deal. I'm in South Lake Tahoe slumming it, but I am going to go up into Inkland Village, 18 miles away, because guess what there is there? There is a Circle K there, my friends. We back the K in every single avenue here. And join the inner circle like Ollie for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. You know what I like about Circle K? It's for the people, by the people. You can find one that is on Grant and Oracle, or you can find one that is in the ritziest part of Tucson. Circle K for the people, by the people. Just like Justin Spears, the hardest working convenience store in the industry, along with the hardest working reporter in the industry. Very good stuff. Now,
one ask, because people on the inside of the K is bring back the Salditos at the counter, man.
I do like the Salditos. By the way, I got an inner circle hat that's coming that, dude, I don't think this thing will ever be detached from my head when I get it. I'm very excited about it. And one other one, Four Peaks, my friend. Now, the original Four Peaks, I dubbed a couple of years ago the U of A big men of Azulis Tabelis, Umar Ballo, leader of men, Dylan Anderson, and Henry Vasar, the Four Peaks. But the original Four Peaks is the beer. Kilt lifter, all kinds of very, very good stuff here. Visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. Check out Four Peaks Brew or Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest. Arizona's hometown brewery must be 21 years or up. Enjoy responsibly. When I hang out down on University, I see the Four Peaks truck. It's like one of those Amazon trucks. You just know it is loaded with good stuff.
Delicious. Really, they do a really great job.
Very, very good stuff. And our good friend behind the scenes, Shane Dievenbach, also very much likes Four Peaks as well. So, again, check it out. Four Peaks, for the people, again, by the people. All right. Now, guys, let's get to I want to talk a little bit about the offensive line. I totally agree with what Ali said. I think this can be a real strength. I think there is one question mark, obviously. Listen, Jonas Avenea, you've done a great job reporting on him, just, how rare he is to a guy like that to come through here. A Wendell Moy, Josh Baker. I love Leif. I hope that Leif gets some real action this year, because I think that he's just a stabilizing force. That other spot's, I think, going to be interesting. And you got some interesting candidates. You got Polito. Polito's been hurt a lot, though, since he's been here. I'm very intrigued by Jonah Rodriguez coming in from San Diego State. Was a top 50 kid out of California as well. You're bringing in Michael Wooten. What do you guys, if they can solidify that fifth spot, then we're really cooking with something here, fellas.
Yeah, left tackle is interesting because Raymond Polito made that move at the Alamo Bowl last year. He went from right guard to playing left tackle, and I think he is a great option at left tackle. But like you said, Mike, he has been very inconsistent with his health. At the start of last season, he had the scooter/bike injury that kept him out at the start of the year. And then he comes back in against Stanford, injures his ankle, is out for another month. And in the spring, we've seen him deal with some leg injuries. So I think Raymond Polito, when he's healthy, is probably Arizona's second best offensive lineman behind Jonas Avianea. Maybe you can make an argument for Wendell Moy, but I think Raymond Polito is a very talented, promising prospect, but his health is so inconsistent. And so that's why I view the left tackle spot. While I think Raymond Polito could very well start there, and I think he's the best option that Arizona has, I think Josh Oglesby didn't really anoint him as the starter. I could see left tackle as a very competitive spot with guys like Michael Wooten and Jonah Rodriguez. And I also think right guard too. Leif Magnuson had some really good games last year when he was stepping in for Raymond Polito. He stepped in the Alamo Bowl and kind of helped that offensive line save the day, moving Big Jonah back at right tackle and putting him at guard. So I like Leif Magnuson, but you also have Alexander Doost coming in from Northwestern, who got some reps at both tackle and guard. And there's going to be some other players that are competing as well. But I think that Raymond Polito at left tackle, Leif Magnuson at right guard, those are probably the best options for Arizona. But I'm really curious to see how this offensive line pans out.
We all silly like the mayor.